August 9th is National Book Lovers Day, and 11 Casper authors are heading to Buffalo to the Wild Rose Tearoom tomorrow to celebrate beginning at 9:30 a.m., and we have 5 of them on the show with us this morning. First, we have Gayle, Irwin, Neva Bodin, which I probably just butchered your name, Carol Chapman, Leslie Colburn, Guyla Greenlee, all on the show with us. First, thanks for coming on, ladies.
Thanks for having us. We're excited.
Yeah, well, we were just chatting, Gayle. You guys did this a couple years ago.
6 of us, about 2 years ago in October, I believe, we celebrated Adopt a Dog Month with the St. Francis Animal Shelter and the Wild Rose Tearoom. But this time, there's going to be almost double. And we're celebrating books and Wyoming authors.
Yeah, it's crazy. I mean, when I saw the press release, 11 Casper authors, I was like, holy cow, what's going on in Casper? And you guys said there's more of you because there's like 2 different writing groups in Casper.
There's actually more than 2 writing groups, actually, but we are members of two of the groups. One is called Kingdom Creatives Literary Arts, and that focuses mostly on Christian books. And then we have a Wednesday night writers group that Neva and I kind of co-lead. And so, yeah, we're just growing in Casper with wonderful authors.
Yeah, that's awesome. Well, we'll go around the room here, and everybody can get a little plug here first. Guyla, you do business books and children's stories. That's like 2 totally different spectrums there. Tell us about it.
Yeah. Well, in my business world, I'm a doctor of strategic doctor of strategic leadership, and I have a coaching company. And so as part of my doctorate, I wrote the book, Knock It Off, How to Quit Being a Jerk at Work. And just really practical advice for how to get a job, keep a job, and leave one gracefully. But a lot of humor in it, real world examples, and checklists and journaling pages in it as well. But then I was raised as a military kid, moved around a lot, and now I have a granddaughter who is also a military kid. And when she was making a move, I got this idea for a children's story about a house looking for a new family. And so that is called Hazel House Finds a New Family. And I wrote that in honor of my granddaughter making, I think it was her 5th move in 5 years. And wow. And published that on her birthday last year.
Awesome. Well, and then Leslie, you're doing faith-based children's books.
Yes. Yes, I'm working on my 6th and 7th children's book right now. My newest one is going to be released in November. It's called Twinkle the Littlest Star, and it's about the littlest star who is looking for her purpose in the night sky, and she travels, and God just has this whole plan for her. So I'm excited about that to come out in November.
Nice. And you said it's going to be your 6th book?
It is, yes. I started writing when I have 4 daughters, and I started writing when they were little girls, kind of as love letters to them. And then eventually it just evolved into, I felt like other kids needed to hear the same message that I was trying to give to my kids, which, that they are created as masterpieces and that they're a gift from God. And so that's how it evolved into 6 books so far.
Wow. And is it mostly online? Are they in bookstores? Where can you guys get most of your books, Leslie?
Amazon, Barnes & Noble, at our local bookstore here in Casper, Wind City Books. And around, I think all of us have books in different areas around the state, but most of them are available on Amazon, Barnes & Noble, wherever you can buy books. Yeah.
Okay. And then Carol says you're doing memoirs.
Yes, I wrote a memoir. This was my first book, and it came out in April. And it's called Finding the Good, and it's about a love and a loss and figuring out how to go on. So a lot of it is positive attitude and looking for good things even in the bad.
Wow. And your first book, what inspired you to do this?
Well, my husband had a very serious glioblastoma brain tumor, and it really changed our lives. But being positive was really important. We knew what the goal was, which was for him to survive. So we focused on that. We never gave up. He didn't survive. And then I had to learn how to be a widow and go on my own. We had no children. And so I had to kind of recreate a world.
Wow. You had to find the good.
I had to find the good. And we did, when he was sick, it wasn't all bad. There was good. And we had Welsh corgis, which were, and still are, a center part of our lives. And they provided a lot of humor. And so that's included in the book, too.
Yeah. Well, and then, so tomorrow at the Wild Rose Tearoom, you guys are going to have hard copies of all your books, so people can come and get them there as well?
That's correct. Yes. We were having a book sale and signing at the Wild Rose Tearoom in Sharon Smallwood's dining room. Because there's so many of us, we can't fit in the front room, so she's going to have us in the dining room.
Nice. So you can go check out all the ladies tomorrow, Wild Rose Tearoom in Buffalo, starting at 9:30 in the morning, and then there's another session at 1 o'clock in the afternoon. Well, Gayle, you just talked. We'll go to you. Sweet romance and children's books.
Yes. Dogs are my life. I've had so many wonderful dogs, and I think they teach us wonderful life and faith lessons. And so my children's book that I will have is called A Dog Named Mary Visits Yellowstone National Park. What a great place to go and see wildlife and the wonders of nature. So my dog Mary takes the kids on a journey through Yellowstone. And not only is there the dog story about visiting the park, but kids and families will learn different aspects about the park. So it's an educational tool as well as a fun little dog story for kids. And then I write sweet romance that weaves pet rescue and adoption into the story, into the love story. And it's kind of a unique angle. But my stories are based in either Wyoming or Montana, where I used to live, and pretty much close to our national parks, because I lived right next door to Yellowstone for several years. And it's such an inspiring, beautiful place. So I decided to set my sweet romance books in the areas of national parks.
Nice. Well, that's cool. Can you take your dog to Yellowstone?
Yes, you can.
Okay.
You can't do a whole lot with them. Like, you cannot take them in the backcountry. And obviously, they don't want them chasing bears or bison or any of those fun things that maybe a dog might want to do. But yes, you can certainly visit Yellowstone with your dogs.
And then Neva, boy, you are all over the place as well. Historical and contemporary mystery and romance, children's books, and devotionals.
Yeah, I guess I could say I'm scattered, but I like challenges. And I was a nurse for 50 years. I grew up on a farm. I've had a lot of different kinds of experiences and a lot of different interests. And so I kind of find a new genre for different books that I write. And I have a granddaughter. I've had a lot of photographs when I started some of my books here. One of my first books, I have a granddaughter that raised goats. And so I had hundreds of goats pictures. And I was standing in the goat pen one day and thought how much like people they were. And so one of my first books that came out is Devotions from the Goat Pen. And it's a 30-day devotional, little stories in it. And every devotion starts off with a picture of goats. And then I love romance. So I wrote an historical romance, which I like, set up in the Bitterroot Valley of Montana, called Montana Free. And it's about two people who come from diverse backgrounds and being free to love each other. Falling for the Dock is my contemporary one in Sage Flats, Wyoming. I actually had a person say, "Where is Sage Flats, Wyoming?" Well, it only exists in my book, I'm sorry to say, but it's about a New York school teacher comes to Wyoming for safety from a shady boyfriend and then finds a body in her backyard. So I like a little mystery, too. And then I have two children's books, and one is called Bitsy Bunny Gets a New Mama, And again, I had a lot of photos of bunnies and kitties and even a mouse that are all in the story about a little bunny getting adopted by someone you wouldn't expect. And then I like to have children think about nature. So I had a lot of pictures of clouds that look like people and animals. So I wrote a picture book called There's a Circus in the Sky, and each one has a little poem under it, but a lot of pictures of different clouds, and kind of encouraging people to look at our beautiful sky and the changing scenery in the sky all the time. So yeah, I have a lot of interests, and now I'm working on a middle grade book, middle grade to young adult, about a time travel young girl in this age, running away from home, gets hit by a car, and ends up on a wagon train in 1846. And then I'm working on a short novella, contemporary romance for an anthology that will come out this coming winter. So yeah, I'm all over the place, but I love it, and it's a lot of interesting things to write about, and I get to do a lot of research.
Man, how long does it take you to write a book?
Well, it wouldn't take me all that long if I would really put my nose to the grindstone, but probably about 8 months to a year I work on one.
Because what do you like doing more, like the mystery and romance or a children's book? Because that's like two totally different things.
It is two totally different things. Truly, I really, it was like my nursing career. I worked in many different areas, and I loved each one, and I loved doing each book. I just love, I write with a purpose. I write to entertain, to help people understand things, or maybe even understand themselves, understand our world and our creation a little bit better. So I just love doing it all.
Wow. Well, Guyla, where's your inspiration for your children's stories coming from?
My own experiences as a child, and then watching my grandchildren grow and seeing some of the same, seeing them going through some of the same things many years later. And just one of the things I always thought of as a military kid with family from Wyoming is I never saw myself in any book. And so I'm hoping to be able to write things that other kids can see themselves in and relate to.
Yeah. Well, and then the two Casper writers groups, and then the Wednesday Writers and Kingdom Creatives Literary Arts. What do we do in the writing groups? Do we help each other out? Networking? What happens?
All of the above, actually. We network, we share information, and Casper Writers, which Gayle and I coordinate, has done a little free mini conference a few times. We hope to maybe do that quarterly. Also, we have a writers conference in February called the Cabin Fever Writers Conference that the Kingdom Creatives Literary Group does, but we also critique each other's work.
How does that go over?
I'm going to let Neva speak to that because she has a wonderful example.
When
your phone? The phone?
The phone, yes, that goes over. Well, it does go over differently with each of us, of course. And being critiqued is a wonderful thing and a very necessary thing for any author. And I joking and kind of quite seriously tell people it takes me about 3 days to get over a critique. But then I realize that what they said has really real value, and I better pay attention. The one time on my historical novel I'm doing right now, where the young gal ends up back on this wagon train in 1846, I talked about having a phone on the wall at one of my critique groups, and thankfully one of them said, phones weren't even invented yet then. So that one I really had to laugh at, because I have an old phone hanging on my wall. It's an antique, I guess, from my childhood. But anyway, I thought I was that old too. So it's a good thing. And again, we all try to be gentle with each other. We try to be helpful. We try to be uplifting. And we just have great rapport in each of our critique groups, I believe, between our different authors.
Yeah, because, a few of you are doing children's books. Because you don't want to give out too many ideas or somebody steal your ideas or anything like that.
No, that's not an issue. We all have our own life experiences and our own backgrounds and our own goals with our writing. And so I think that there's there are some writers that fear that, but I think it's really an unfounded fear. Even if we're all writing about the same topic, we all have different ways to express our creativity.
Yeah, that's cool.
We're very encouraging of each other too, Jeff. You know, when you hear critique, you think critical, but we are encouraging in our two groups anyway. And you know, even though we pointed out to Neva that even the Pony Express wasn't going yet in 1840, but you know, I mean, it's kind of like sometimes you get so wrapped up in your own story, you kind of go off and you make mistakes, you know, or you think of things that you would love to have in that book, but isn't quite appropriate, you know, whatever that may be. And our wonderful members are just so gentle and kind, you know, and we just love our groups. I know I do anyway, and I'm sure all the other ladies would agree. You know, it's good to be in a group because writing is such, you know, you're so alone in your little office or whatever for the most part. And it's just great to be able to share your thoughts and ideas and get their feedback.
Yeah. National Book Lovers Day happens August 9th, so 11 Casper authors are coming to Buffalo tomorrow, beginning at 9:30 a.m. at Wild Rose Tearoom. You can go and check them out, go and chat with them, go and get a book signed. What are we doing at the event? Is it just a book signing? Are we talking? What's happening?
Well, most of it is book signing because there is 11 of us, but there's going to be refreshments and people who might want to hear part of one of our stories, I'm sure will definitely be able to share. We're just going to kind of just see how it goes. And, but we love interacting with people. You know, we love sharing our stories with others that haven't heard of us or are just interested in what it is that we do, even as writers, whether it's specific to our books or what it's like to be an author. And so we just love to share our work with other people. So we're excited to be in Buffalo.
Yes.
Yeah, what have we seen in the last couple of years with books? Because now even like Costco isn't even selling books anymore except around the holidays. I mean, there was a joke on one of the late night talk shows. Somebody mentioned their movie was based on a book, and they go, well, nobody reads books anymore. What are we seeing? What are you guys seeing out there?
I think people still love books.
Yeah.
And particularly with children's books, you know, that children are so tactile. They need to be able to touch. They need to turn the pages. They need to point to the pictures. And, you know, I think that that's still very important for young children. And then the romance field is very popular still. And the people who love that field, they read voraciously and are constantly looking for the next story. It may change in how they look at, you know, they may read it on Kindle. They may read the hard copy, but I think people are still reading.
Yeah.
And audiobooks are certainly a big thing. And we are going to be looking at us doing more audiobooks and covering that in our next Cabin Fever Writers Conference in February that we have here in Casper. So we're hopeful to get more authors aware of that and know that more people are using audiobooks. I know that, and that will be coming too.
Yeah, no.
In fact, I have my first audiobook that just came out like 3 weeks ago. So I'm pretty excited about that.
That's cool. And then they're online on Amazon, or where's your audiobook at?
My audiobook is an Apple Books. So it was a free offering through the publishing company that I use for my sweet romance. And so it was just kind of an experiment, but I think it turned out pretty good. So I'm pretty excited about it. It's called Love Takes Flight, and it's a sweet romance that happens in western Montana. And the couple bond over, of all things, sandhill cranes. Sandhill cranes mate for life. And the story goes that the woman's grandfather had this lovely farmland where sandhill cranes used to come. But they stopped coming as their numbers decreased. And so she happens to see a pair and gets all excited and runs into this biologist who's studying this particular pair that he had radio collared. So they bond over birds and farmland. So it's pretty sweet.
Huh, that sounds like a cool story. Well, Carol, tell us, you have one book that was just recently released. How hard was it? How hard is it to get it out there? Is it easy? Tell us what your process was.
For me, it was very hard. I tried writing this book twice and couldn't do it. And then I ended up learning about a program where they focus mostly on memoirs, and a lot of them are, some of them are not so, not really pretty pictures. There's abuse and things like that. Mine just happened to be more of a story about love and wanting people to know that you can survive. And so it has taken me, I took 2 years of classes, and then it took me about 3 years to get the book finished. And I've now started a second book, which will go with the Finding the Good book. It's more on self-care, if you're a caregiver or for anyone, and art activities that you can do that aren't really difficult, but will help you get through a caregiving situation, or you can just enjoy them for what they are, art activities.
Yeah.
And so that's my newest project.
Well, that's a good one. Well, especially there's so many caregivers out there right now
And there's only going to be more, as baby boomers age. We're going to see more of it. So hopefully this will give people a good idea of what they might do to help themselves.
Yeah, and Guyla, I see you're the owner of Dandelion Leadership Coaching. Give yourself a plug. What's this?
I've spent more than 30 years in nonprofit management and the corporate world, and I was a CEO of a statewide trade organization, and I flat burned out. I was trying to be everything to all people, and ended up leaving a job that I really loved because I felt like it was physically and emotionally killing me. And once I learned about coaching and learned a lot of things about self-awareness and handling stress and that sort of thing, I realized had I had a coach, I probably would have been able to stay in that position. And so I just want to be that person for others who are needing a sounding board, needing someone to help them through difficult times in the workplace. And so I do one-on-one coaching, group coaching, and speaking in organizations, leading workshops, all geared towards having a more positive work environment, a good organizational culture of appreciation and working well together.
Yeah. Is there a website, or where can they find you?
Yeah, dandelionleadershipcoaching.com. And I'm also on LinkedIn, Facebook, and Instagram.
Okay. Well, go check her out, dandelionleadershipcoaching.com. And Leslie, you're doing children's books. Do we bounce these off the kids? What do they think?
My authentic audience are my daughters and my grandkids as well. So they're my first audience, but I have taken my latest book to classrooms and read it, and also given it to parents to read to their kids so that I can get feedback on what aspects work and what they would like to see changed. And then the illustrations have been a whole different experience as well. I haven't put those in front of parents and kids yet, so I'm excited to kind of put that out into the world as we move closer to the holidays. So yeah, my first audience are my kiddos for sure.
Yeah, because you have a couple of picture books. Who does the pictures?
So one of my first books was a local author or artist here in Casper, Brenda Short. She did the illustrations for one of my first books. My current book, actually, the illustrator his name is Martin Pavlovsky, and he lives in Spain. So it's kind of like
wow.
Quite a big difference there. But I just really appreciate his creativity and his perception on the story that I wrote. It really, a picture book isn't a book without pictures. So it's been really a great experience. It really took me, I think I thought of this book about 2.5 years ago. So the process has been long, And it's only about 400 words. So I really admire these other ladies who can write novels and memoirs and thousands of words. Mine is about 400 words, but putting it all together and the illustrations, it's taken a long time. And so I'm really excited.
Yeah. What do they think when you say you're in Casper, Wyoming?
I don't know. I guess, yeah. Where is that?
Yeah. Well, ladies, how do we market ourselves with books? How do we get our book out there?
A lot of different ways. You are one of those ways. So thank you, first of all, Jeff, for hosting us today on this wonderful program. But our bookstores are just so vital. You asked about our bookstores, and reading still in, and they are. As Guyla mentioned, romance is like the number one genre, and people, especially mostly women, of course, but all kinds of people read romance. Some of my stories, they're not necessarily geared for what we call the YA or young adult, but I have several young women who love my stories because of the rescue dogs, and the settings are so beautiful. But so we go to our local bookstore, Wind City, here in Casper. There's a wonderful bookstore in Douglas that welcomes us a couple of times every year. And then, of course, Sharon having us, even though she's not a bookstore, she loved the idea of having authors come to her store. So we're very grateful to her, too. But a lot of online marketing, that's kind of the key. How do we reach people that we don't know and let them know about us? But social media, there's a lot of author groups and reader groups online. So there's just a variety of ways to reach out to readers and let them know we exist. And we just love each and every opportunity we have.
Yeah. Connecting with any local ways that we have to speak. I get to speak sometimes at different things and go to an art, like this coming week, going to a thing called Art Corps, which provides entertainment. And I've always sold books at any of these events, just speaking about it, telling people that we meet. And then Carol Chapman had a real successful book launch with her book, too. And she can tell you about that a little bit.
You bet. That was a great experience, probably one of those things that will never happen to me again. But I had a company who offered to do a book launch for me, and we invited all sorts of people. Over 100 did attend, and I also put out a bi-weekly, I guess, post online to people who sign up to receive it. And I write about all sorts of different things. It might be my dog. It might be, this time it's on procrastination. And so you try to reach as many people as you can in whatever way you can.
Yeah, for sure. Well, go and check them out tomorrow at Wild Rose Tearoom here in Buffalo. Begins at 9:30. There's 9:30 to 11:45, and then an afternoon session from 1 to 3. Don't miss it tomorrow. National Book Lovers Day happens on August 9th. Well, Leslie, Neva, Guyla, Carol, Gayle, ladies, thanks so much for coming on.
Thank you for having us.
We appreciate you.
Yes, we do.
Yeah, and go and check them out tomorrow. Wild Rose Tearoom, 71 North Main Street, right here in Buffalo. We'll have more coming up on KIX 96.5.